Now the next thing to do is to take out the fuel. The fuel will be depleted normally from the tank, but in this case first I will be taking out the last pipe that goes to the front end. That's because there are the filters in front of it and there's a fuel pump. I've taken out both pipes and no fuel has come out. So next thing to do is activate the fuel pump. Next step is the battery and giving this guy a bit of juice. Here we can see a quick fix solution. 2 wires to the motor and the fuel is being pumped out. So as you can see from here, nothing special really, just until it reaches its limit. I guess she's already has, and that's about it. The final piece, now I'll be taking the whole filter system out, be taking the pump out from underneath. I've already disengaged pump from the upper side. You can see, took out the piping. This I will remove completely later on. So here I have a crease. It's bent pretty badly on this side. That was giving no air to the fuel system. On this part, each time we opened the fuel tap, it was gasping for air each time. So this was the cause. So I will remove the bolt from underneath. This will be just pulled out and out of the car. So I'll be continuing in this section, and next I will be just taking the tank out. And we have the last piece removed, which is the fuel tank. And after inspecting some damages, look what we find. We find all this gunk in it. See? This was not placed by me. It was literally there all along. So, here we have all this soil in it. No wonder the car was clogging up. And it burnt out already one fuel pump. So here you can see one of the main reasons why this car could not perform up to its standards. Previously I told you that there was a vacuum problem within the tank. As you can see, here is why. Upon sucking fuel out of the system, this was getting creased up, with leading to no air to circle around the fuel tank. Now, with that out of picture, basically everything's set. And for the final part now, I will be just taking this car apart, cleaning all the units. As you can see, that is the miserable wiring system you have here. Some of it is literally not linked to anything, and the rest is just its basic units. So I will be just throwing that out and just rebuilding it myself. Well, here we are at the final stage of the disassembly of this car, and as you can see on my right hand side, everything's taken apart, literally. On my left hand side, this will come to I will be coming to a bit further on, but for now let's focus on this one. So as we can see, it's all done, taken apart. The hardest part is finally over. I can now say I have this much to do, this much to work on, and maybe this much to spend. But we're still keeping on a tight budget. So all of you who have been following my videos, kindly thank you. And also, I will be posting more soon, but for now I will be just cleaning. Basically, that's just about it for now. So I will be filming some small parts that I still haven't covered, that I still maybe have to do, but mainly it's all cleanups. So until then, deal with it.
face. I know this.
Murdoch, I'm not Hannibal.
Who has the most to lose on this face? Me. And I trust you.
Yeah, I know. But, you're crazy.
Not that crazy.
As you can see here, I have made me a new toy. This toy consists of a device that I can clip it onto the body and flip it over, so I can work on the underneath parts of the chassis. This is just a tripod which is attached to this. Now I need to weld a nut and then add a screw on top of it with clip onto it, so once I need it to be in a fixed position, I would just tighten the screw and it would be locked instead of moving freely. So, as you can see, this is the setup. The system is just very basic. Just welded some elbows. So here you have the pipe welded onto a hollow section, the shafts welded to the other hollow section, and they are married together. And they would be screwed up by the screw output here. Once I'll weld the nut, you would see it, but that's until a bit further on. And moving on to the next part, as you can see, there is the car. Now the next piece is the other end. That's built for the rear end. This one's built for the front end. It's a very simple device to build. It's just time consuming in order to get it together. Now, let me show you the other parts I needed for it. So as you can see here, I've welded a U-channel, but this is from a hollow section. I've cut the front part of it. And I made it a U-channel and welded it myself onto the hollow piece. This is a homemade piece, so nothing too shabby about it, nothing professional. This is the other end. So I have 4 of these. Each one is fitted with a hole there, so I can put it through the chassis, and I will show you later on. This is the layout sketch of how it's going to be built. Basically some templates to lock the car into position. These are the measurements taken in order to fit these through the holes in here. These are measurements. I will now be welding pipes and shafts onto the rear parts of the whole unit. This is because the car is a convertible, so it tends to warp if I take any chance of just twisting the car. So there will be some procedures onto this first. Now the next piece is these. I need some more alterations onto these, but these are just to fit like this. All they need to do, I'll just close the gap from here and fit it here, because it's not fitting just by 4 mil. So I'll just close the gap a bit and it should slide through. Also, these holes are there because the chassis has these mounts onto it. So I've built sort of replica to it, and this should do the same job as it. But the only difference with this, now I need to drill a hole in here and weld a nut so I could place a screw. So this one would fit like so. This one down. And the other one. It's just a very simple tool to build. Costs just about the metal and how much welding you use. Now, they're in position, then I'll just measure them up to be equally distant from each other, so the car would flip easily. On the other side, now I need to check if it's best from here or here to drill, and place the nut so these will not move once I'll be flipping it, because if so I'll flip it and they will be moving. The car would literally slide to one side and I would damage the whole end. The shaft is to be fitted like so. It only needs to go this much deeper inside. I need to rearrange that part that I mentioned before. Basically all you need to do is just measure that from one end to the other. The shaft is centered, so in this case it needs to be a bit more to the right. And once that's done, now I need to be welding some more, making some more adjustments. That should rise up to this one. When I have the nut, I would have everything in place. And also, the shaft should fit through the pipe. Now, not to forget to mention, this is the end part of the lower section, which I need to fit this hollow section into this hollow section to prevent from slippage onto the front end. So I need to keep the chassis as stiff as possible. So I would be needing to drill a hole into that piece, and this one should slide through it. Next thing to do is, now since this is a convertible, I need to work around the body, so I need to place me a flange here, such as this. I need to cut the angles properly to fit it through. I would also be flanging this part, as you can see, 2 holes. Let's flange this one here, and a straight pipe from this end to the other. Here I have this pipe. I would just weld it to the flange I'll build later on and secure it onto this area. Here you can see a sketch of a plan view of the vehicle itself. So it has from one end to another, from this door to this door. It has the maximum of 1.41 m, and from lengths from one end to the door to another, taking it to an angle. And I would need to weld 2 pipes here, one end to the other end, and just one straight pipe on the sides, because once I'll flip it over, the top part would not close on itself. This one is to protect it from its own length from closing in, and this one is to protect it from the sides and closing in. Now here I'd have me a template. Now I need to work a flange onto that one, and this one is from one side to another when talking about this part. So as you can see, minor sketching of the car, just on how much length I had from one suspension arm to another, that I will be working a strut bar for it. The lengths, these are, mind you, these are all sketches, basic sketches just to take measurements for. And this is the way it's going to be now. As you've seen, this is the moving part of the bracket that fits into the chassis, and I will be placing a nut here and a bolt to screw it on with. This is the sketch I used to plan it out. But first things first, I need to drill me some holes and weld me some nuts. I'll be moving on first to weld the whole body, not literally on the body, just flange it and then lock the bolts onto the body. Keep it as stiff as possible. Clearance should be as close as it can be, so it would not stretch or compress. And once that's done with, literally, then the next stage is just this. I would lock the car onto position, lift it up, place these into position, and then I'll just be flipping the car over. So the next thing to do is I'll finish these out, then I'll be moving on to the body and start welding it. And hopefully I'll finish the car in order to get me somewhere at this point. So until next time, now I'll be showing you the rest of this thing here, and I'll be moving on.